Sunday, December 31st, 1967. Look forward.
Let us have our prayer or meditation. Om Bhadram Karne Vishnuam Deva Bhadram Pashyemakshavir Adatraha Sthiroir Angayastushta Bhangshastanuvi Vashyema Devo Ahitam Adayu. May we with our ears hear what is helpful and good. May we with our eyes see what is right and conducive to our welfare. As long as we live, may we be able to persist in our spiritual striving. Peace, peace unto us all. We begin by reading an extract from Swami Vivekananda. True religion is entirely transcendental. Every being that is in the universe has the potentiality of transcending the senses. Even the little worm will one day transcend the senses and reach God. No life will be a failure. There is no such thing as failure in the universe. 100 times man will hurt himself, 1,000 times he will tumble, but in the end he will realize that he is divine. We know there is no progress in a straight line. Every soul moves as it were in a circle, and we will have to complete it, and no soul can go so low. But there will come a time when it will have to go upwards. No one will be lost. We are all projected from one common center, which is God. The highest as well as the lowest life God ever projected will come back to the Father of all lives, from whom all beings are projected, in whom all live, and unto Him they will return, all. That is God. The subject of our talk this morning is look forward. Standing on the thin edge of an abysmal past, we look to the height, dizzy height of the future. Every instant we are doing that. But in the march of time, certain points are important. We feel important. As for instance, when the day ends and the night comes, it's a great transition period. The sun was there, all of a sudden darkness has come. Or in the morning, darkness is gone, the sun has come. In India it is said, if you meditate or pray in the 2 points of time, it will be most efficacious, the twilights. The junction of the morning, the dawn and the morning, and the junction of the close of the day and the beginning of the night. Another day is gone. Ramakrishna would weep in great anguish. Another day is gone. I have not realized thee. Saint Augustine said, why tomorrow, why not today? With some persons, one day gone is a great thing. One has not been able to achieve what you wanted. Kabir, a great saint, said, "What dost thou seek me? If you are sincere, you can realize me in a moment of time. At once you can realize me." In the Upanishad says, when the realization comes, it comes in the twinkling of an eye. So every moment is important, but we are not aware of it. We are not aware. We are perfectly unconcerned. We ordinary persons, if days go away one by one after another. In any case, with us, an important thing is when the year ends and the new one comes in. We feel another year is gone. We feel the uncertainty of it. We want to know what will come in the next year. Because the year ends, most persons celebrate it in some way or other. Some persons will celebrate it by hilarious enjoyments, festivities, drinking and dancing, perhaps to drown the problems of the year that has gone by, or just to feel that the coming year will be good. Some persons spend the day, New Year, soberly thinking of the past and the future, philosophically. Some persons celebrated it by worship and meditation, church service, worship in the temples. In India, lots of persons will take bath in the Ganges or some holy rivers. Fortunately, in India there are many holy rivers, and they are connected with any water anywhere. Afterwards, they will consider any river is holy. In any case, they will take bath. In Benares, the thousands of persons, if not millions, will go and take bath in the Ganges. It's a very good sight. From our headquarters in Belur, we see the temple of Dakshineshwar. You cannot see it is all crowded. It is pressed up with, it's covered with human heads. So many persons come and take bath in the Ganges, and there is overflow to Belur Math evening. So they want to mark it, they want to celebrate it in any way. They consider it is very important. 1 year has gone. It is something. If you cannot take notice of instance, if you cannot take notice of 1 day gone, if you think in terms of that another year is gone, that is something. But we feel uncertain about the future. We are not sure what the future year, coming year will bring. Some will consult almanac, some will go to astrologer, and there will be forecast, economic forecast, even not only in religious field or religious superstitions, in economic field, economic forecast, what will be the coming year we hear. Now I find sociological forecast also. Yesterday I heard over the radio, some sociologist predicted what will be in America the future of civil rights movements. How many riots will take place. He was just finding, actually forecasting, and so on. It comes out of the fear or from the sensation of uncertainty. But that does not help us. Any forecast does not help us. Say almanac or astrologers if they could say exactly the right thing, it would lead us to a doctrine of determinism. Everything is determined. Then why should you do that? We shall challenge. We should not try to do it. Let us see whether it comes. It does not come. Some come, some do not come. I have consulted 2 almanacs just to see whether the past year, what was predicted, came true, and compare what is in the future year. It does not something come which anybody could say. In any case, that does not help us. Rather, that does harm to us. For if you think something good will come, that we are in undependable jubilation. We are not sure perfectly it will come. And if something is untoward, something not good, something not welcome is predicted, why do you undergo this botheration, just baseless fear? It may or may not come in. Once a person saw my palm and said, my death is near in 3 or 4 months. I said, it's all that, but don't tell my mother. But the important thing is, the present is most important, not the future. Take care of the present, and the future will take care of itself. With all predictions, you see, it does not change the need for our struggle. Then why do you think in the future in that way? Yes, we have to think of the future, but in another different way. Take a balance sheet of the past and make a budget for the future. Balance sheet of the past, what you did and what you lost the chance of. That is necessary. Our present is determined by our past, not only metaphysically, not only philosophically, but what we have done, we carry the effect of that even in our daily actions. And by the action of the present, we determine our future. So it is necessary to look at the past from one standpoint, just to find out what are the mistakes we did, how those could be corrected, what is the lessons we get out of that. That is important. And we can say, and we can plan for the future, that we do not repeat those mistakes. But these things we should take most dispassionately, objectively. If we have many good things to our credit, we cannot afford to be careless. We cannot be too much elated. Because if we do that, we reach a state of stagnation. Any further progress is sealed. We cannot do that. Nor can we brood too much about past mistakes. By brooding too much, we paralyze our muscles. By brooding too much, we fall into depression, and that does not help us. It does quite a lot of harm. But there are some persons who want to dwell on the past so much, on the past mistakes. They think every failure is attributed to their past or even to childhood. they consider or they think or they imagine they would have been a great success, but for certain things. Had it not happened, had one not been born in a poor family, one could succeed. Others have advantages, and he or she had not that advantages. One psychoanalyst took down, recorded the statements of patients, and he analyzed them. He found large percentage of patients would be saying, but for that, or if not that. So the many persons to consider themselves a failure think in terms of if not, but for that. But they forget, and we forget, there are a large number of persons who overcame those handicaps and succeeded in life. There are a large number of persons. So it is said, if you are on the brink of failure, consider, don't recognize failures. In a blunt way, someone said, don't consider yourself dead unless you are buried. But you know it is true. Day before yesterday, I read in New York Times, some patient was sent to morgue as dead, and afterwards it was found he or she was not dead and was again sent to hospital. One of the Swamis told me, he was on the surgical table. Surgeons thought he was dead. They went away after nurse who came to cover him with some white sheet or something like that. They found the signs of life in him. So it is very, very true. It is a very safe thing not to consider oneself dead unless one is buried. That means you struggle for your progress as long as there is the breath of life. That's a safe thing. Look forward with optimism. There may come success, there may come failure. While you think in terms of failure, as I said, from the abysmal depth of the past, that idea came to my mind because I lived in the interior of the Himalayas. I had to go many times riding on a pony, that I remember. Sometimes there would be a great abyss below, and the hills, peaks on the other side. And then the pony had a peculiar nature, habit of going by the brink of the edge. It is naturally it will go. You can trust it. But other pack ponies come sometimes from a height, then you are unsafe. I was new sometimes, and then several pack ponies were coming. And the pack pony man was scolding me, what did you do that? I was not aware that all of a sudden. So if you, not only that, when you ride, if you look towards the abyss, so you will feel dizzy. Sometimes you will feel dizzy. I would not look that way. I looked to the height and say, so this is true in life. This is true in life too. So don't be pessimistic. And in life there will be many failures, but there will be success too. It is say, in a war, you lose many battles, but you may win the war. So also in life. There's a common expression that the morning shows the day, but not necessarily all mornings show the day. You know, Einstein was not a child prodigy. He was so late in learning, his parents thought he was a dullard. So here the morning did not show. How many cases are there? People overcame their handicaps. Persons born blind have become great scholars, lecturers. Persons, I read of a case, fingers, she could not, or he could not paint with fingers, but with the toes, he or she would paint. In America, there are more, I think at least 2 or not more, from the log cabin to the White House. Poverty and all these things one could overcome. There was a Christian saint in the 17th century. He was very much handicapped, lame, and he considered himself dull. He thought his life was failure. Once he thought, in the spring season, a tree which had withered away in winter was bringing forth new leaves. And he thought, then there is hope for me too. It seems now I am worthless. I consider myself worthless, and others also think perhaps there is hope for me too. That gave him great courage. And afterwards he became a great saint, Brother Lawrence. He had no book learning, not literate, many handicaps, but simply by his efforts. He would not get much advice from the priests either. He thought they create confusion because there are so many opinions about religious things. And he would look to God for help, for guidance, and he would follow the guidance of God. He thought God is present everywhere. So why should I look for help from outside? He would look to God for help. And he would call it the practice of the presence of God. He would not like to teach, but some letters are there, or some talks he had with some friends, and these things have been invaluable. Personally, of all the Christian mystics or saints, I like him best. I think he is most sensible. So he overcame all these difficulties. There are plenty of illustrations we find. The Upanishad says that in spiritual life, it is so in all life, you must be optimist, you must be strong, you must be determined. Strong does not mean simply physically strong. Persons physically strong have been found to be cowards as far as moral pursuits are concerned. Higher idealism is concerned. It is true in all fields though. Upanishad emphasizes, be optimistic, be hopeful, be strong and be determined. Upanishad speaks of a young aspirant. When spiritual aspiration awake, awoke in him, he said, there are many persons better than me. There are many persons inferior to me. I am not the worst of all. And therefore I will succeed in my life. And he succeeded. It is said, the parable says, that he faced the house of death. He went to the house of death and wrested from him the secret of life and death. And there is a beautiful Upanishad, Upanishad. So this is the important thing. Just to go forward, not to look this way and that way. If you look to the past only for education, we learn by the lessons of the past. If we simply brood over the past, we do not get any lessons. We simply befoul the atmosphere. We just create an atmosphere around us. We create a climate. And life is a motion. Life is not stagnation. When you are on a journey, if you stumble, that is aberration. Going on and on, that is the normal thing. So life is a motion. If we stumble on the way, let us not sit and weep. Let us get up and go. That should be the normal. That should be the normal thing. And do not count how many times you stumbled. There is no genius who had no failures, who did not make mistakes in his own field. Edison said that, yes, I had many failures, but I would go on. Ordinary persons give up the attempt. There is no genius who did not make any mistakes. There is no saint who had no the dark night of the soul. No saint was not tempted, was not tried. Buddha was tried miserably, but he was firm. He had to go through that training. He had to go through that discipline. So it is not for all of it cannot be for any particular individual. One will have smooth sailing in life. But don't stop on the way because you have stumbled, because you have made mistakes. Consider this, get the lessons of those mistakes and try to do better. That will determine your progress. That will facilitate your progress. In one of the yoga aphorisms of Patanjali's yoga book, he says, when you find you have handicaps, think, when you feel that you have handicaps, think of the opposite. If you have one qualities which are not good, which is not good, just think of the opposite. Think of the strength. If you have a tendency to get irritated, think of love. Daily think of love. Think there is the divine in everyone. Gradually it will go away. If you get angry easily, think of peace. As you go on doing that from time to time, then it will become less and less. By fighting that I won't get angry, you cannot be. You'll get more angry. But have something positive. When you go to the east, you will be farther away from the west. Psychologically it is true. But think of the positive. Think of peace, meditate on peace. I heard of a person who was in a climate very hot in summer. He said, let us meditate on the snow of the Himalayas. I'm sure he could get it. Just a new substitute for air conditioning and electric light, electric fan. He said, what can you do with such person? If your mind is so strong, he could. Said, let us meditate on the snow of the Himalayas. About Ramakrishna, M said, if he had taken notice of our failings, we would not have any place in him. But he did not do that. He did not like to hear our problems. He just ignored all these things. And he took notice of one or two strong points in us. And he would help us to develop those one or two strong points in such a way that all darkness of life had gone. That is the thing. Great saints do that. They do not ask your confession. Great saints do not ask your confession of your failings or weaknesses. These things are common, more or less. The important thing is just to find out the good points. The sign of a great man is that he sees your good points in a magnified way, and he does not notice your weak points at all. He knows, but he does not take any notice of these things. He sees your good points, a little good thing, he will magnify spontaneously, not to encourage you. Spontaneously, he will be so happy, and you will get encouragement. You forget your weaknesses in that way. That is the way how the saints who turn sinner into saints almost overnight. We may not come into contact with such great saints, but it is a great lesson. Let us think in terms of our good points. Even a criminal has his good points. Criminality is one side of his character. So instead of thinking your handicaps, just brooding about your failings, just think terms of your good points. You may not parade these things to others. Take an account. There may not be many good points to cite any worst case, but there will be good points too. Think of those things, those points. Try to develop those things. If I have handicaps, those things can be overcome. But many people do not strive. They just stand on the way. They become overcome by circumstances. Life means the attempt to overcome circumstances. Swami Vivekananda was once asked, what is life? He said, it is the tendency of a being to unfold itself under circumstances trying to press it down. This is life. Life is a struggle between the inside and the outside. We are struggling from the outside. Unfortunately, some persons have to struggle with the inside too, because they have not the right outlook. that make too much of their failings and handicaps. So if a person take notes and think of those good qualities and try to develop those things, one will become stronger and stronger. And one should come into contact with persons who are optimistic, who have developed good qualities, especially those by an effort who have developed good qualities. It is said, it is good, it is much better to win achievement than gifts. Even gifts from God, now even achievements from God is much better than as gifts from God. If a person by struggling, he has achieved something, that's a much greater thing than giving us something. In India, in our schools, some persons who would fail in examination, but they will give promotion, they would be given promotion because of something, some influencer, as a grace. I said, it's humiliating. I would consider a person would get the promotion after getting plucked. You see, so they get it as a grace. Achievements is much greater than, much more honorable, much more enjoyable than gifts. You just strive for it, and you get it and it will come. Sure. Don't wait for the windfall. Windfall may or may not come, but there's a joy in getting the thing by striving. So try to develop strength by coming into contact with persons who are optimistic, who have achieved something. One may not be able to come into contact with such persons even. Read healthy books, strength-giving books. Just read. Daily read health, strength-giving books. The scriptures, direct scriptures, not books on books. Some scriptures are very strength-giving. Read those things daily. It is prescribed that a person, spiritually minded person, or a person with spiritual aspirations should daily meditate or pray. What is this meditation psychologically? Just think of your reality. Think of your contact with the reality. God is the reality behind everything changing. You meditate for a short time or a long time. That means you meditate on your strength. Meditate on your reality, which is perfection, which is freedom, which is purity. You start the day with these things, and from day to day you do these things. If one cannot meditate, one can read some scriptures or books which give strength, healthy books, not occultism, not books on occultism. Don't go for the cheap way. Don't go for the shortcut. There might be shortcut in business. There is no shortcut in religion. Absolutely nothing. You go by the front door. You follow the straight door, by the straight and narrow path. Path is narrow, but it is not frightening. You are safe in the narrow path. If you look this way and that way, you will get dizzy. The path is straight and maybe narrow. So read these things daily. If one cannot meditate, many persons cannot meditate. Few persons can really meditate. Read these things and think. Every day give some food to your mind. Food is necessary for our body. Spiritual food is much more necessary for our mind and for our being. It is necessary. In that way, you'll get the clue, you'll get the glimpse. But if you want to progress in your life, important thing is you should stick to it. You cannot do it for a short period and go away. And many persons will say, I tried and did not get it. Even Swami Vivekananda had those experiences. He said some students would come and said, yes, we tried Vedanta, there's nothing in it. Swami Vivekananda also had those experiences. Do not take these things seriously. For success in any endeavor, you must stick to it. There will come difficulties. There will come disappointments. There will come reasons for despair. Those who will succeed will endure till the end. Those who will endure till the end. Strive to the end. Strive to the end until you reach the goal, until you reach the secure place, until and unless you feel yourself secure. Strive and go on. In the beginning, everything is hard and difficult. There is resistance in your mind because the beginning is difficult. If it be difficult as you try, the difficulty will be less and less. In our college, we had a professor. He has great humor, the subtle humor. He said, when he passed his examination, he was too young, and he would not get any job. He went from place to place. He said, for a year, I had a bitter experience of holiday. He would not get. And last, he went to a place for interview, and they said, are you not too young? And he said, if that be only your objection, it will go from day to day. And he was given that job. So in that way also, if there is a difficulty, just face it. It will go away from day to day. Anything difficult will go away through practice. Through practice you will find it comparatively easy. And further practice you will find it easier. And then you will have confidence. And from confidence there will come hope. And from hope will come success. Even from the beginning you think it's a hopeless endeavor, you cannot succeed. Some persons ask me the question very sincerely when he heard of Vedanta and the goal of Vedanta, as a matter of fact, goal of all religions. He said, how long did it take to realize that? I said, to realize what? To make it clear. He said, to get that kind of bliss. I said, how long will it take? I asked him, counter question, how long will it take for one to become an Einstein? He said, it's a long time. I said, no, not long time. It might take many lives. But you do not sit silent because you cannot become an Einstein in one life. Why do you ask that question? If you want it, you just strive for it. At once strive. So don't say the path is difficult. If you want it, just face it. Sometimes you face it and it goes away. Swami Vivekananda's wandering monk once was going by the streets of Benares near a temple. Now it is called, tourists call it as a monkey temple. There are many monkeys in that area. He was going and the monkeys just attacked him. He wanted to fly, and monk was at a little distance, shouted to Swami Vivekananda, face the brute, don't fly, in that case it will attack you, they will attack you more. And he faced it, and the monkeys went away. And Swami Vivekananda very often would quote that. Face the brute. In life, face the brute, face the difficulties. Difficulties will become easier and easier. For success in anything, nothing is so important than to stick to it. You stick to it. And while striving, don't compare yourself with others. That is the difficulty. You compare yourself with others, you find some persons have greater powers. And you feel inferiority complex, you feel hopeless. You cannot do that. Much of failure comes because of that. There's an ambition, there's competition. Don't enter into competition. Don't enter into competition even in the material world. You will progress much better. Because of competition, you develop inferiority complex. You feel that you are worthless. Or you waste energy because of jealousy, envy, and so on. Even if you cannot become the foremost person in your field, just develop your own parts. Utilize all the parts God has given you. So if you have no competition, sense of competition, if you do not like to compare with others and waste your energy by envy, pride, and so on, if you succeed, you become proud. If you do not succeed, you become envious and jealous. You will have the greatest satisfaction if you find towards the end of your life that you have utilized all your powers. That's a great satisfaction. It will give you great peace. It will give you very, very great peace for the consciousness that has striven, he has tried his best and has developed the qualities he has. This is true also in material world, material success. One will be much greater success if it works that way. But in spiritual field, that's the greatest advantage. In spiritual field, the success is not determined by quantity. It is determined by quality. That's the greatest advantage. I heard, being in an Indian university, and in Cambridge, the professor would ask, just try as many as from 30 questions. I had a professor who became a wrangler, and he told me, just said there will be 30 questions, try as many as you can. One will try 2 or 3, and thereby you determine the quality of the student. The result will be given because not counting the answers he has given. From 2 or 3 answers, the professor would find out the quality of his learning. So this is true in spiritual life. It is not determined by the quantity. It is determined by the quality. One person might be meditating for 8 hours or 12 hours for 20 years. He might not succeed. At all, he might not succeed. He might go farther and farther away from spiritual progress or spiritual path. One person in all earnestness, in all sincerity, if one prays for one time, one might succeed. The saints say that. It is the quality, it is the sincerity, it is the earnestness that is counted in spiritual life. From that standpoint, one is in a great advantageous position. And if you struggle, you do not struggle for uncertain things. You are not struggling for a goal which is a dream simply. You struggle for a goal which is sure, which has been already discovered. You simply discover that goal. You simply get that result discovered. We are fortunate from that standpoint. We are not struggling for an unknown destination. The destination is unknown to us, but the destination has been known to others. We are not struggling, we are not going on a voyage in an uncharted sea. The path is charted. Persons have gone before us. From that standpoint, we are in a great advantageous position. Sometimes I'd be thinking that how great was the struggle of a person who undertook that spiritual voyage to reach the infinite. For him there was no guide, there was no teacher. Simply through evolution he developed. Evolution from the circumstances he got learned, perhaps others were struggling. What a great boon it was that one person succeeded. We do not know his name, we do not know the date. But we find many persons have done that, trodden that path and have reached the goal, not one. So from that standpoint, we have a great advantage. And you know the goal is sure. It is not striving for will-o'-the-wisp. It's a reality. The reality is our nature. What is our nature? Is one with the universal self. That is our reality. That is our inheritance. Only we do not know it. We do not realize it. We have to realize that thing. Inheritance, it is our things. Or if we do not think in a philosophical way, that is way. Those persons who are devotional will say God is our eternal help. They speak from that experience. When they say it is not a poetical idea, when the saints say, they speak from that experience. God is our eternal help. We must anyhow find out contact with the eternity. By ourselves, however we try, we cannot fully succeed because our power is limited. So long as we strive only with our ego, that power is limited. We get some success, but not completely. We do not get into a secure ground. But if we know, you have some idea that our relationship with the eternity in a philosophical way as oneness with the universal self, or in a devotional way, God is our eternal help, then struggle becomes much easier. We become less frightened. It is much easier to keep optimistic outlook. That is our birthright. We have only to assert it without giving way to despair, to strive. It is said we may become weak by time and fate. But let us be strong in will, strong in the strength of God, and may be able to strive, to seek, to find, and not yield till the goal is reached. Next Sunday, the subject of our talk will be, what do you want? On Tuesday evening at 8:15, we give discourse on the Gita. All are welcome. Let us conclude with our prayer. Om Durjana Sajjano Bhuyat Sajjano Shanti Mapnuat Shanta Muccheto Bandhaiva Bandhars Muktascha Annan Vimochayet. Let those who are struggling with their failings become virtuous. May the virtuous become serene in mind. May the tranquil in mind become free from the bonds of bondage and from the bonds of imperfection. And may the free help others to become free. Peace, peace unto us all.